Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Blackbright, broadcasting out of the UK. I always put a preface that I'm not an immigration lawyer, I'm not a professional advisor, I'm just an individual giving my opinion about things that matter and that affect people of colour, black people in particular. So today I'm going to talk about Shamima Begum. Now, I always believe that the UK uses the precedent of the US of A. So anything that the US of A believes in or works towards, or their plans at some point, is going to be taken on by the UK. Now, when you think of the USA Constitution, it was never intended for foreigners to be citizens. And it wasn't until 1857, Dred Scott and Sanford, a black man, sued for equal rights as a black man. But before that, blacks weren't considered as citizens and they weren't considered as human. So where am I going with this? When you think about Shamima Begum, she's of an Asian family. Would they have stripped the citizenship of a white person doing the same thing? I have to wonder. I mean, they're citing that she can take over her mother, who's a Bangladeshi. She can take over her nationality. But apparently she can't, because the Bangladeshi government are saying it's not possible. I guess if her Dutch husband wasn't in prison, he could file for her as a Dutch person. But are the Dutch going to want him back? You see, what's happening with Shamima Begum has serious consequences for everybody born in Britain with a British passport. Does it mean that if you commit a crime, they can take away your British passport? What do they consider crimes? Is it only crimes to do with terrorism where they can take your passport away or decitinize you, or whatever they want to call it, take away your citizenship? You know, they're treading on really rocky ground with that, you know, because it does. You know, I always say that naturalized people are never citizens. And if it wasn't the case, they wouldn't have had all those conditions in unlimited leave to remain and in naturalized people's British passports. They come with conditions. And if they were accepted as bona fide citizens, there wouldn't need to be any conditions. So there is a reason behind it. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm born in this country, but it wouldn't surprise me if at some point I am made to take on my deceased father's, God rest his soul, his nationality, just so that they can siphon out anyone of colour. At some point, it wouldn't surprise me. My mother was saying to me, oh, you know, you can't get kicked out because you're a British citizen. I said, Mum, you're having a laugh. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Whether you commit a crime or not, I do not believe it's impossible. You know, people make laws as they go along. How do you think laws come into force? They can change laws. They change laws every day. So what is to say that they cannot say that somebody born in this country whose parent is not a citizen of the UK, like in the States, they're going as far back as the grandparent. If the grandparent isn't a citizen, neither is anyone else. They can actually be deported at some point. So I don't know if it means because they have a criminal offence. I don't know the background to that, but I know it's the grandparents are the ones who set the standard of where citizenship stops and how you can gain citizenship, which means that I'm born in this country, but my husband wasn't born in this country. which means my daughter technically could not be a citizen. I mean, I'm creating a scenario here. This is not happening, or it hasn't happened, but I'm just creating a scenario. So my daughter, because I was born in Britain, but I'm not allowed to pass my citizenship on to my daughter. It would have to be my husband. My husband is Jamaican, so my daughter would technically take on my husband's citizenship or nationality. So she would be considered Jamaican for all intents and purposes of this argument. However, her daughter, because she was born in this country and her husband was born in this country, that would mean they would be British citizens. Yeah. And then because I was born in this country, but there again, if they're going for the grandparents, if they're going for the father, then my granddaughter still wouldn't qualify. She still wouldn't be eligible if it's going on the father. So then we'd have to go down to my great-granddaughter, who would then have a British mother, a British father, a British grandmother, a British grandfather. And so she would qualify as being a British citizen, just for this argument. So when we're thinking about the ramifications of Shamima Begum's passport being taken, her citizenship being taken away, and she's been deprived and she's now stateless, we have to not only think about her and her association with ISIS and and her non-repentant attitude and the way she's behaving. We have to think of that being a precedent in law for other people. Now, they say it's going to take 2 to 3 years for them to finalise and come to a decision. But it'd be very, very interesting, the outcome of this. We've got public rights lawyers, not public rights, what am I talking about? Human rights lawyers on the case, and a lot of people are going to be jumping on the bandwagon as they normally do when we have a thing like this. But, you know, we'll keep our ear to the ground and see what happens. That's all for now. Bye-bye.